You said that it sounded like another quarterback that people talk about sometimes. What was the comparison and the description that you were going to make?
Sound like the quarterback he coached up in Minnesota, Kirk Cousins. When Kirk Cousins was having a lot of interceptions and a lot of mistakes up there, one of the mandates was run the football more with Dalvin Cook. And then once they started running the football more, it actually helped Kirk Cousins tremendously. And that's what I kind of hear from Kevin Stefanski is the fact that, with Nick Chubb coming back, amping up that running game with the Cleveland Browns, because I think that's where Baker Mayfield is at his best. When the running game is going and you're able to do the things off of that, the play action pass, the rollouts, all the things the Cleveland Browns want to do, then that will help Baker Mayfield as a quarterback. So when I heard that from Kevin Stefanski, that's the first thing I thought was his time up in Minnesota with Kirk Cousins.
Yeah, it's an interesting way to look at it. Lewis, it's a big second half of the season, right? What is at stake, do you think, for the quarterback and for the program in Cleveland?
Yeah, I think, Baker, as far as what's at stake, he can really go ahead and solidify himself as the franchise quarterback for this football team if he's able to string together a bunch of good performances, especially, Greeny, against quality opponents. That's really been the thing that has been holding this team back in terms of people giving them their due and saying, okay, maybe they're getting over the hump. Maybe they're turning the corner. Maybe they are now seriously someone to consider in the North and in the AFC overall. And you know what's interesting is when Damian said that about Kirk Cousins, that's the first thing I thought of too. So I guess great minds think alike, Damian. Look, when I was watching the Vikings tape for getting ready for this week, it is something. Look, that offense that they run up there under Gary Kubiak is Kevin Stefanski. That's his offense that he's running in Cleveland. And you're right, the running game really feeds and kind of like helps the passing game grow. And there's no question that when they're calling plays for Baker Mayfield, he is always much better off of play action. He's much better when they move the pocket. Domonique has talked about this in the past, that when they get him outside the pocket and get him clear throwing lanes, he looks much better.
And so, Domonique, let's just make the prediction here. Right now, they're 5-3. If the playoffs began today, they wouldn't make it. Do you think the Browns make the playoffs this year?
Yeah, I don't think they do. I think Lewis started us talking about against good teams, and their schedule so far has been against, or their wins have been against a bunch of not very good teams. And going forward, if they are able to beat the teams that they're supposed to beat, maybe they sneak into the back of the playoffs, but I think they're going to drop some of those games. They're absolutely going to lose to the Ravens and Steelers again. Baker Mayfield and that offense scored 7 and 6 points against the Ravens and the Steelers, and only 6 points against the Raiders. I know there was wind and weather conditions last week, but those are the 3 best teams they played, and they couldn't muster very many points against them, no matter how well they ran or how much they tried to run the ball or how much play action or Baker Mayfield out of the pocket they tried to use. So I think it's a little bit of fool's gold at 5-2. I don't think they're as good as that record suggests.
Be interesting to see it. As we looked it over before the show started, there are probably 2 teams in each of the divisions in the AFC who are better than them, including their own. But the schedule, they do have some, I'm not going to call them gimmies, but they have the Jaguars, they have the Jets, they have the Giants. They have a lot of games on their schedule the rest of the way that they should win. Thank you for watching ESPN on YouTube. For live streaming sports and premium content, subscribe to ESPN+.